I can fix very easily. And
So YouTube folks are going to be bored with our patter.
yeah, they're like, "What are you guys doing? What the heck are you doing?"
Yeah,
And there we go. We did it. I did it. I
you're
figured it out.
you're the man. You're in charge here. Welcome everyone. If you can see us.
Yes, there we go. Hello, everybody. We'll see
Yeah,
you shortly here.
yeah.
Fantastic. All right.
So haven't
There
talked to
you
you in
go.
a while, Shane.
I know. I've been I had to put all my shows on hold for a couple weeks, and as we went into the new year, figure
Like,
out how to.
break, you mean take a break from all your work here? Yeah.
Yes, I was running myself ragged. I was just doing too much, and so had to figure out how to balance everything, and with this new bi-monthly approach, and doing my newsletter and having a singular focus instead of doing all these different things. Right, whenever you start a new year, it's important to take a look and see what's working, what's not working. So
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's
we're
time to
refocusing, and now I've been doing my newsletter and my show. You joined us yesterday for a little bit. That was
I did.
great.
Yeah, I did.
um, and so there's a lot to talk about, and I have kind of decided that I'm going to let I have plenty of coworkers and colleagues, if you will, that are covering a lot of the stuff that's going on here in America very well. um, you know if you guys have watched, me and John have a universal love for geopolitics and the wider understanding of things. So that's what
True.
I'm doing now, is
That.
focusing on that, and helping where
So
I can. But
yeah, well, I was going to ask you, like, this is a bit cheeky of me, but it's like you might have like slept but not slept, and maybe these days you're living but you feel like you're not living. It's like everything's extreme, right? You know,
exactly,
everything
exactly.
everything's all things opposing all at once. Like I'm loving it and I'm hating it, and I'm alive and I'm dead, and I'm sleeping but I'm wide awake. Right? It's like everything's so intensely, confusingly opposites all the time. Right?
Yes. Yes.
Uh,
Well, actually, it's this fair. So it's been a while since we've had a lot of people actually join us, the Firebrand Project, at least since our last show. So I want us to do really quick, do some introductions. For those of you who haven't met John, my good friend John and me, we met by chance. I sent him a message. I'm like, you want to talk about some stuff? And the dialogue has continued since then. We talk about a lot of things here, but something we try and do is really foster just critical thinking and thought, and make sure that we create a space where we chat and have a dialogue, have that open conversation where we can just put our heads together and look at these things. So John, really quick, introduce yourself for anyone who's new. And then we've got a great show for you guys. It took us a while to figure out how to get on here today, but we did it, and we got a great show for you guys.
yeah. So I'm John Oliver. I am not the HBO comedian, which I have to say always now on Substack, especially. I have lots of followers on Substack for that reason, but lots of people have stuck with me because they like my writing, which is
Yes.
great. I'm actually a composer by
Mhm.
profession. I write
Yes.
music and perform music and teach music. Music is my life. But I've, since a very early age, been writing words and thinking about, words and books and stuff like that. So, and I'm up in Canada in Vancouver, which is on the west coast. For those of you who aren't so good with geography, just north of Seattle. And yeah, I've had a very full career, mainly writing music for big Canadian orchestras and a couple of operas and things like that. Despite the proximity of our two nations, Canadians generally, when they want to make it in the USA, have to move to LA or New York, and I have several friends who've done that. But I decided to stay here for a lot of reasons that
Yeah.
become evident from reading
Yep.
anything I read on Substack. So there we are. That's me.
I
And
love it.
I just wanted to add to Shane's summary of how the dialogue has been evolving. We've never actually talked about it, but we kind of more recently have been acknowledging that this is all comes out of what's called the Socratic method, which
Yes.
is basically to probe things without coming at it with a dogma, without coming at it with a preconceived notion that we're going to teach anybody anything. It's a process of discovery through conversation,
Yeah.
and in some of our recent dialogues, we've battered the ball or hit the ball back and forth and disagreed and then agreed, and then we've
Yeah.
come to these interesting resolutions where we both learn something, and I think that's one of the beauties of what we're doing.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I love that. It is. This is how we honor the Socratic method and true dialogue, true conversation. Um, and so, we've got a challenge for you today. I was gonna give it all away. And but John wants to make you guys think, and I like that. So we're talking about a book today. We like to read. Me and John, we enjoy reading, and I told John a while ago we were talking about the allegory of the cave in our last conversation.
Right.
And I had talked to him a week or so before, and I'm like, have you read this book? And he said, no. And I said, well, you have to read this book. So, John finally got around to reading the book. I finally got around to getting my life together. And here we are, coming back. And, John, we're going to read you some passages, and you guys have a challenge. And John, I'll let you lay it out. This is your conception. So let them know what their challenge is. And then I'm going to ask you to read your first passage from this book.
Right.
Uh,
Okay.
so,
Good. Well, so it's a simple challenge, and you guys can tell us, your response in the chat. The idea is that we're going to read probably just a couple of passages, uh, maybe a few more from a certain novel, and we're going to challenge you guys to try to figure out which novel this comes from.
yes.
And we're not going to tell you when it was written. It could have been written last year, or it could have been written maybe last century. So we'll just go ahead and start reading passages from it, and just have a listen to the kind of you know try to imagine as we read. Let the words establish the image that's painted by the author. Let it sink into your mind, and just try to figure out, well, where does this description come from? What is it describing? Is it describing like America today, or Europe uh, a century ago, or where is it? What
Yeah.
society is being described here? So I'm going to start with the first quote, which is one of my two favorite quotes from the novel. Being with people is nice, but I don't think it's social to get a bunch of people together and then not let them talk. An hour of TV class, or an hour of basketball, or baseball, running, another hour of transcribing history, or painting pictures, and more sports. But we never ask questions, or at least most don't. They just run the answers at you, bing, 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 and us sitting there for 4 more hours of film teaching, and that's not social to me at all. It's a lot of funnels and a lot of water poured down the spout and out the bottom, and then telling us it's wine when it's not. They run us
Mhm.
so ragged by the end of the day, we can't do anything but go to bed, or head out for a fun park to go bully people around and break windows in the window smasher place, or wreck cars in the wrecker place with big steel ball, or we go out to the cars and race around on the streets trying to see how close you can get to lamp posts, and play chicken and knock hubcaps, and I guess I'm everything they say I am. I haven't any friends. That's supposed to prove I'm abnormal. But everyone I know is either shouting or dancing around like wild beasts, or beating up one another. You notice how people hurt each other nowadays?
Yeah.
That's the first excerpt.
I I think that one is, it's this entire particular character that is saying these things in is one of the best characters in the book.
Mm.
Um, I would say that there's a lot of good characters in the book, and each character represents a certain, I guess, type of person in the world. And what I love about that quote is how, this character, they call out the reality of a world where people are being social, but not really social at all. This idea that you can put a bunch of people in a room and they can do a collective activity, but actually achieve no, form of discourse that creates critical thought or, really builds a relationship. And you can have people really isolated in close proximity to each other.
Right, right. And also I think the last line pretty well sums it up. You can be in a group of people, but if your a way of thinking and being in the world is that you're supposed to be suspicious of other people and hurt other people, and a kind of really viciousness that's become a social norm. Uh, that's what this passage is describing, right? It's
Yeah.
describing a society where people celebrate viciousness, right? Which
Mm-hmm.
is why, it's a passage that, sounds very contemporary to me. It sounds like it
Yes.
could have been written yesterday.
Yes. TV class, right? You have the window breaking, and things like that, right? Where you almost is like, whoa, well, this is a strange world where, you go out with your friends and you break windows, right? Traditionally in our society, one might say you're not supposed, it's probably if you go out with your friends and break windows, you're probably going to face some sort of repercussions.
Right.
Um, so in that sense, it is again this kind of like a first taste of like, huh, as you start reading the novel, like, oh, like this is an interesting society we're living in. And I think unless you have any last thoughts, I would like to add my first choice here.
One more thing.
Yes.
Immediately in the next paragraph after that passage,
Mm-hmm.
there's a one-liner that just sticks out and makes you cringe. And
Mm.
here's the one-liner. My uncle says his grandfather remembered when children didn't kill each other. Holy.
Mm. Holy crap. Holy crap. So, yeah, I mean, it's like this world, this novel is shapes up very quickly to be very very familiar, but also unfamiliar.
Right.
So,
There dichotomy.
yes, exactly. So, this particular excerpt here is one of my favorites. So, he stopped walking. You are an odd one, he said, looking at her. Haven't you any respect? I don't mean to be insulting. It's just I love to watch people too much, I guess. Well, doesn't this mean anything to you? He tapped the numerals stitched on his char colored sleeve. Yes, she whispered. She increased her pace. Have you ever watched the jet cars racing on the boulevards down that way? You've changed the subject. I sometimes think drivers don't know what grass is or flowers because they never see them slowly, she said. If you showed a driver a green blur, he'd say, that's grass. A pink blur, that's a rose garden. White blurs are houses. Brown blurs are cows. My uncle drove slowly on the highway once. He drove 40 miles an hour, and they jailed him for 2 days. Isn't that funny and sad too? You think too many things, said he said uneasily.
Right. So I'm not watching the chat. Are you watching the chat?
I am. So far, people don't have it. Rebel without cause is not what this is from.
Hey, they haven't guessed yet. That means we get to keep going here.
Yes.
All right. Okay. So what's another good passage to read here, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, before we go to the next one, I do want to say that what I really like about that passage, why I picked it out of an entire book, and as soon as we decided we were going to do this exercise, it's the first thing I went to. I opened it up. I opened up the book, and I went and I found that particular passage. There you go. Robert got it. Robert got it. So we're gonna keep it, Robert. If other folks get it, but we're gonna keep the mystery alive for a little bit. Oh, oh, now it's going. Bradbury. There you go. It's, they're our readers of dystopian novels. So
Right.
yes, this book is Fahrenheit 451. We jinxed it. We thought we were too good, and then they went and they came and got us. This book is Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. And we'll talk more about it towards the end, about the book, the history of the book, because I think that's important. But this particular passage, this idea that you live in a world where they jail you for driving slow, so you can see see the world, as if this idea that to even take a moment to perceive what is around you is
Right.
illegal is so
Right.
potent, but
Right.
also not entirely alien to me, in the sense of, it doesn't seem like something that just is impossible. Like, I
Well,
can see a world where that is a reality.
Well, yeah, and let me just, this is talking about obviously the 1950s, uh, when the book was written. But so whether you are not allowed to go slow and you must go fast, right?
Right.
The point just being that you have to go so fast that you can't really make out the details, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're kind of distracted. Um, what's the famous book by Postman? Entertaining Ourselves to Death, right? In the 1980s. Well, these days, I don't know if you've noticed people walking into traffic like this,
I was gonna say, you're what is it?
right? Walking into traffic like they can't see anything. The world around you is not relevant because the only thing that's important is the thing in your hand. That phone. Yeah, I put stickers on my phone. Uh, you
Me
know,
too. Me too.
and
I got a
so
sticker. I think you'll get a crack out of. I was painting, but I don't know if you can read this.
what? Property of the imp?
Oh, this is what my fiance calls me, but the sticker on top. Let me see if I can. There you
Oh,
go.
oh, you've got property of the imp in front of my face there. Chuck, mother, mother, what?
Cluckers, and
Mother
it's a bunch of
clucker
chickens.
the chickens. Very good. Yeah,
Yes,
that's
expose
very
myself.
good. That's very good. So, hey, we were talking about, this dystopian novel that is Fahrenheit 451. And just because we started off saying how much we like books, I thought another passage that is so pertinent today, I'll just read it. It's pretty short, but goes like this. Picture it: 19th century man with his horses, dogs, carts, slow motion. Then in the 20th century, speed up your camera. Books are cut shorter. Condensations, digests, tabloids. Everything boils down to the gag, the snap ending. Snap ending. By the way, gag is also a word really out of the 50s. Classics cut to fit 15-minute radio shows, then cut again to fill a 2-minute book column, winding up at last as a 10 or 12-line dictionary resume. Dictionary, wrong word, really, Ray. But anyway, it kind of makes the point. It's like we live in a weird world where that's kind of how things have come down to. It's like get AI to summarize it in one paragraph.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
no,
What is
until
what does Plato's cave mean? Right.
right,
And Well, then you miss the entire point, because the beauty of something like Plato's Cave is uh, the understanding and solving and understanding the nuance of what, your the journey you take using the Socratic method that he takes you on as you read it. Um,
That's right.
so
It's called nuance. It's called nuance and details. It's called
yes.
the subtleness of a thought, or the subtleness of life. If you have a subtleness of thought, then you're going to have a subtleness in your life. And this is what people are missing when they think, oh yeah, I know Plato's Cave. I just Googled it. Now I'm going to go to my exercise class or whatever.
Hmm.
That's not how you develop a subtle and rich life. That's how you kind of you've got a shopping list of books to read, or you've got a shopping list of ideas that you believe because you Googled it. It's not a
Right.
shopping. It's not a shopping spree, folks. It's not heightened consumerism, right? That's not where you develop a rich life. So yeah, that's particularly for me very interesting, because of that. The reduction of everything to something that is believed to be the essential, but without the details. Who cares that you may be able to say two sentences that summarize something that
Hmm.
hasn't exploded your mind? There's no aha moment when you are just reading two sentences about something, right?
Absolutely. Right. And if I want to take it a step further and just do a little callback to, if you want a society where, kids kill each other, then you create a society where things become so simple, like, and you simplify the world. So this world that her uncle remembers or her grandfather remembers when kids didn't kill each other, let's be honest. What is America? Kids kill each other every day. Every
Right,
day, kids kill each other in America. Let me
right,
tell you, a lot of these things written in the 1950s, unfortunately, when I look at them now, I don't he in fact he isn't wrong. He's writing the future. And what I like about this is, I think, particularly, um in this passage, I really like this one because it kind of points out a method. It's a method that is used on the masses,
right.
and it's put very well. So it goes like this. Uh, you like bowling, don't you, Montauk? Bowling, yes. And golf? Golf is a fine game. Basketball, a fine game. Billiards, pool, football, fine games, all of them. More sports for everyone. Group spirit, fun, and you don't have to think, eh? Organize and super organize, super sports. More cartoons and books, less more pictures. The mind drinks less and less. Impatience, highways full of crowds, going somewhere, nowhere. The gasoline refugee. Towns turn into motels, people into nomadic surges from place to place, following the moon tides, living tonight in the room where you slept this noon, and I the night before. Mildred went there you go.
Yes.
So, right, I like that one a lot. Because I don't know, what are your thoughts, John, when you hear that, when you read that?
Well, that was I forget where that is. That's fairly early, I think, in the novel. There's it's talking about shutting down intelligent discourse, which
Yes.
is what we're trying to encourage. Not saying that we're masters at this or anything. We're just a couple of guys, but our intention leads us toward the idea that you develop your mind and you develop your understanding and your ability to see reality around you, see what the world is really like, not what you're told it's like. So that's what it's really it's pointing to a society that demonizes. Even the word intellectual is considered like a swear word, uh,
Mhm.
huge swath of the population, right? And so, um, but when you shut down all the intelligent people, you are left with a completely helpless society because you can't do anything, you can't make anything. So there's this weird dichotomy, especially in the American mythology, where, it's a land of invention and genius and so on, but then there's this anti-intellectual thing that is supposed to shut down the genius that's supposed to create the richness that the society is supposed to benefit from. So, it's this kind of batting your head back and forth between two things that you're supposed to hold in your head at the same time.
Hmm.
Be anti-intellectual, but praise the people who actually have the brains to create great stuff. You know,
Right.
there's a second passage that, as you were reading it, there's a second passage that came to my mind that I
Yeah.
just have up front
Awesome.
on the screen here that goes into even more detail than the one that you just read, but it's very similar. Listen to this. Thanks. Now, people who've read the novel know uh, that the basic premise of the novel is that books have been banned and houses have been all fireproofed. So now firemen don't go save burning houses; they go burn houses down that have books in them. This is the
Hmm.
basic premise of the entire novel. So this is a passage that says, "Thanks to the firemen who burn all books, you can stay happy all the time. You are allowed to read comics, the good old confessions, or trade journals, but not anything else." What more easily explained? Oh, there's a word missing here. What is more easily explained and natural than this? With schools turning out more runners and jumpers and racers and tinkerers and grabbers and snatchers and flyers and swimmers instead of examiners and critics and knowers and imaginative creators, the word intellectual, of course, became the swear word it deserved to be. You
Hmm.
always dread the unfamiliar. Surely you remember the boy in your own school class who was exceptionally bright, did most of the reciting and answering while the others sat like so many leaden idols, hating him. And wasn't it this bright boy you selected for beatings and tortures after school?
Oh
Of
yeah.
course it was. We must all be alike. Not everyone born free and equal, as the Constitution says, but everyone made equal. Each man and woman, of course, the image of every other. Then all are happy, for there are no mountains to make them cower, to judge themselves against. So, a book is a loaded gun in the house next door. I love that. That
Yes.
another one-liner that's really great. A
Yes.
book is a loaded gun in the house next door. Burn it. Take the shot from the weapon. Breach man's mind. Who knows how might be the target of the well-read man? By the way, that sentence structure is very archaic now. I love that. Who knows who might be the target of the well-read man?
Hmm.
Me? I won't stomach them for a minute. And so when houses were finally fireproofed completely all over the world, there was no longer a need for a fireman for the old purposes. They were given the new job as custodians of our peace of mind, the focus of our understandable and rightful dread of being inferior. Official censors, judges, and executors, all in one. That's you, Montag, the fireman. That's
Yes,
me.
and that's from Beatty, I believe, right?
Be-
The
be-
so that's his boss, right? So his boss, um, and actually, this next quote is perfect that we talked about him because this next quote, it talks about the. I'm not going to go into all the details. I still think you should read the book, but eventually, things go awry, and Montag, ends up in a situation where he gets potentially.
Go ahead, but I just want to say before we leave this quote, I do want to.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Please.
So if you're going to go to are you going towards the end of the book?
I'm in the middle now. It's gonna be like it's when he I'd say probably the back third,
Okay,
beginning of
so
the back third.
I just want.
What's a little bubble?
I don't know what that was. So I just want to take this little
Mhm.
moment to a little sidebar on Beatty. Okay,
Yes, let's do that.
on the character of Beatty, because the character of Beatty, he is the head of the fire department,
Hmm.
but he knows way too much. He's read a lot of
He
books.
has.
And that's one of the great conundrums in the book, is that he's the expert because he's read so many books. And he is responsible for burning the houses of people who even have a few books. So he's a guy whose house should be burnt because he
Right.
obviously either has the books or he's committed them all to memory, which will lead us
Mhm.
toward the end of the book, of the
Yes.
novel. So the Beatty character is really interesting because he's actually someone who is a keeper of a lot of knowledge, and yet he's responsible for destroying it.
Yeah, and that's what is interesting. I think BD represents a very specific type of person. The person who sees the value of creating a ignorant masses for their own
In,
personal benefit,
right,
where they still believe, because it's pure hypocrisy, right?
right,
To deem others unworthy of knowledge and relegate them to forced stupidity or ignorance, whilst you take that knowledge and use it to then force them further into ignorance, right? And that's this kind of, it's like the people who often, say you can't have something already have it themselves. So
know
it's
it.
it's right. So I like that. Good. That was good, because as you hear this particular passage, it's going to actually, it's going to help understand the context a little bit more. So uh, it goes like this. He says, um, where was it? Was it my wife who turned in the alarm? Beatty
Mm,
nodded. But her friends turned in an alarm earlier that I let ride. One way or the other, you'd have got it. It was pretty silly quoting poetry around free and easy like that. It was the act of a silly damn snob. Give a man a few lines of verse, he thinks he's the lord of all creation. You think that you can walk on water with your books. Well, the world can get by just fine without them. Look where they got you. In slime up to your lip. I stirred the slime with my little finger, you'll drown.
right.
Right?
There you that is a great definition of a overlord, a dictator, the all powerful, the person who has accumulated so much power that all they have to do is move their pinky finger and you die. Yeah, that's gee, we kind of live in a world where there are a few people who are, you know, attempting to put themselves in that position,
Right.
uh,
And
unless we all revolt against it.
right. And I think that's very true. And Beatty is that guy who's um, he's in the middle. He's not the top of the food chain, but he also is allowed clearly to know enough
Hmm.
that he. And the interesting part is, I think to a degree he himself, as the captain, clearly has read those books, and the implication is that he got a notice, and so that Montauk, he already had known, and then his wife followed up, and then they acted. But there was this moment where I think Beatty wanted to see if Montauk would decide the path that is right in Beatty's mind, which is we need to use this knowledge to further suppress and understand the danger it proves to the masses. And when Montauk did the right thing by all moral and intellectual standards, and chose to appreciate the art and the goodness that comes with knowledge, that is when Beatty decided to take action against Montauk. And that's why I think that's particularly potent, because he did. And, he goes on later and multiple times basically say, like, you made the wrong choice. Like, I gave you a choice and you decided to do the right thing. How dare you?
And and just to point out a sort of a parallel, not quite a parallel with 1984, but not only does he, uh, you know, uh, say he made the wrong choice, but he says, so Montag, you're going to come into work tonight, right? Because he
Right.
already knows he's going to burn down the house. So he gets Montag to come to work so that the alarm can ring, so that he can go out to his own house and burn his own house down.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So it's forcing the person to destroy their own life. Okay,
Correct.
which just suddenly reminds me of Rwanda when the kids were kidnapped and forced to kill their own parents.
Right. It's a form of punishment that goes beyond, um, it's this idea that you don't want to punish someone, you want to break them. You want them to really understand that they messed up to a point at which they will, they have to destroy, the things that they love.
Yeah.
It's interesting because the relationship, we'll leave some questions here. So the relationship between Montauk and his wife is very interesting,
Oh yeah.
because it shows, it's this I guess dichotomy between someone who wants to remain ignorant and someone faced with an opportunity to learn, and the fear that can be ingrained in somebody uh, to the idea of knowledge, right?
Right.
And that is where I think, when you do read this book, which we both encourage you to do, um, that's one of those relationships. I think it's very insightful. And it's particularly, I don't have a good quote about this. I don't know if you do, with the parlor walls. That's I draw my connection to the smartphone or the TV is truly the parlor walls, and the way, there is the family. So I don't know if there's a good quote that comes to mind for that for you, but
Yeah, well, we
um,
can talk about it. We don't need a quote. So basically, just to paint the picture, or paint the scene for people who are watching, one of the main activity of people in their house is not, of course, reading books or doing anything with each other. They are in a room that is called the parlor, I think it's called, and there are four walls, and in the novel, three of those walls are covered with big, huge flat screen televisions.
right.
And all the wife wants is for the husband to buy the fourth wall so that she can be completely embedded in this TV reality. Now, the shows that come on are interactive. So Bradbury was really ahead of his time, being predicting all of these things that would start to happen in society. So the screens are interactive and they talk to you. And so the only family that the wife ever refers to is the family that's on the screens.
Yes.
So she's completely disassociated from her own husband. She doesn't care about him. All she cares
No.
about is the characters on the screens.
And the money that he makes so that she can buy the screen,
That's
right?
right. Hmm.
And
That,
that relationship as well is interesting because, Mildred, and her use of drugs, as well, is a
right.
very, and so there's a lot of things to touch on in this book, and we aren't going to be able to touch on all of them, but I think that's important because there's
Well,
going to be some things that you need to go and read yourself. But what I do want to talk about is there's a couple excerpts, from the end. They don't give away necessarily the end of the book. The very end of the book is one of the most, is so potent. It really sticks with you. But
yeah.
there is a quote that I would love to share. But I want to go ahead and let you throw it back to you for a quote, and then we'll go back to me because we just talked about one of mine. So I would love to hear another one of your quotes, and then we can bounce over to what will probably be my last quote, and
Right.
then we can just talk about the book overall for a couple minutes before we wind down.
Oh, I'm.
Here, I will be right back. I gotta move the cat so she stops screaming
I, I
really
was gonna
quick.
say it's a nice accompaniment.
Yes,
Yeah.
she's like, "Dude, pay attention. I'm gonna go put her in her cat tree in the living room, so I will be right
Yeah.
back."
Okay. I'm just maybe going to read this passage here. Uh, um, well, here's just I'm going to be fishing around the book here. There's another single kind of sentence. Let me just back it up a bit. Um, yeah, da 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 da. Yeah, there we go. So,
Right.
so here's a little passage. Um, every hour, so many damn things in the sky. Think about drones, right? Ray Bradbury was really amazingly prescient. Every hour, so many damn things in the sky. How in the hell did those bombers get up there every single second of our lives? Why doesn't someone want to talk about it? We've started and won 2 atomic wars since 2022. I'm quoting the book here. Is it because we're having so much fun at home we've forgotten the world? Is it because we're so rich and the rest of the world is so poor and we just don't care if they are rich? I guess he means. I've heard rumors the world is starving, but we're well fed. Is it true the world works hard and we play? Is that why we're hated so much? Who's Ray Bradbury talking about, folks?
Right.
Good
Right.
old USA, right? Go get
Yep.
all the minerals from Africa and all sorts of places in the world and build your phone and you
As
can sit in front of your phone like this while people
Yep.
have to work for $1 a day. He
Yep.
knew what
As
he was
a
talking about.
geopolitical, as someone who's up to their eyeballs in geopolitical news every day, and the actual, it's like 1984. This book, the ability of Ray Bradbury to be writing a book in 1950, that is so potently accurate now. In fact, it only gets more accurate as time progresses. Like these books, like 1984, they only get they're more on the money, and it just goes to show that people understood people. They understood how people work. They understand the nature of mankind, the humanity, and that we are. They wrote these books because they wanted us to be different.
Right.
and and that was the goal. They wanted us to be different,
Well,
and we failed spectacularly, but you know
do you
it
think
the
though
effort.
do you think though that both of these novels are you know, kind of very prescient in terms of their understanding of human nature and how human nature can be co-opted by evil.
Yes.
But both of these novels, in my view, were written as a warning
Yes.
to not. It was a warning that if we lose our capacity for critical thinking, we're going to be hooped. We're going to be brainwashed by these evil people, and they're evil people. There's just it's really a good versus evil in a kind of a very almost old fashioned way, but in a futuristic at the time futuristic way of painting a society that could be manipulated technologically into a place where technology intervenes in your life so thoroughly that with the evil human behind the technology to create the rift between even you and your wife, right? That's what
Right.
it's about. It's the warning that we could all become so dehumanized that we could start viewing killing as something that's okay and fun. And
Right.
and I'm gonna just say it, when I see for the past 2 years Israeli soldiers having fun blowing everything up,
Yeah.
I think, wait a minute, this is the dystopia that I thought was not going to happen when I read 1984 as a teenager.
Yeah.
I thought that the warning would be out and we have the United Nations and everything's going to be okay, and this is not going to happen. And
No.
yet, here we are.
Yeah, and I mean, like, look at 2026, right? I I've been saying, like, this is the year that the world order dies. The post world Cold War world order dies. The United States, and I don't want to spend too much time talking about this, but to your point, about people, like, look, like the United States just committed war crimes in Venezuela.
They sure as heck.
Unprovoked war crimes. There is no difference between a bombed out apartment building in Kiev because of Putin and a bombed out apartment building in Caracas because they decided to willy-nilly fire, Apache helicopter rockets around in an operation that has achieved nothing. Their rhetoric doesn't matter. Oil companies are not going to go into Venezuela. It's a bad investment. Only Chevron's there, and no one wants to do it. The reason they did it is 100% because of China, and China gets 7% of their oil. And a mere 2 days before that, they put in some really nasty metal controls, export-import controls on silver and steel on the
Right.
United States. Okay. So all of this bluster, all of this stuff around to keep people, glued to their phones, glued to these more, different narratives is really, and that lack of critical thinking to go beyond what the stated intent is versus the reality is really important. And I think I would like to read this one here because I really, like I was telling John, my favorite part of this book is probably the last 30, 40 pages.
Yeah.
It's just fantastic. But what this particular one I really like. So he goes, where is it here? He goes, should
Who's
be
he?
this one.
Who's he?
Oh, it's gonna be here it is. It's gonna be Granger.
Green.
Uh yes. So he says, where is it? 156. And he says, oh, I think it's towards the bottom here. Okay. What did you give to the city, Montauk? Ashes. What did others give each other? Nothingness. Granger looking back at Montauk. Everyone must leave something behind when he dies. My grandfather said, a child or a painting, a wall built, or a garden planted, something your hand touched some way so your soul has somewhere to go when you die. And when people look at the tree or that flower you planted, you're there.
Right.
You're there. And it doesn't matter what you do, he said, so long as you change something from the way it was before you touched it into something that's like you were after, like you after you took your hands away. The difference between the man who just cuts lawns, a real gardener, is in the touching, he said. The lawn cutter might just as well not have been there at all. The gardener will be there a lifetime.
Yeah. So that's a kind of sums up the creative act, which is what we are holding on to for dear life right now.
Yeah.
Um, and the lawnmower that is artificial intelligence proposes to replace us. And I see these interviews with these AI bros saying that
Yeah.
humanity no longer necessary. And the only thing I come to think as I listen to them talk is that the only humanity that we don't need are these AI bros. They
Yeah.
need to go away because AI is very sophisticated now, and it is not creative. It's predicated on theft, and it's not a creative act whatsoever. It's a machine act. It's a mechanical act. The person behind it is a machine, not a human being. And
Yeah.
and the fight is really on in a big way right now. And I think, just to proselytize for a moment, I think it's really important that people report, not accept it, but report all incidents of AI theft. I'll give you an example. My wife's listening to Rachel Maddow. Maddow, is that her name?
Matto?
Maddow. Rachel
Yeah.
Maddow. Listening to Rachel Maddow on a YouTube video without watching it. Just the earbuds because the voice is so familiar.
Hmm.
So I say, okay, I'll go check it out. So I check it out, and it's the perfect Rachel voice. It's absolutely perfect. The cadence is perfect. Everything's perfect, except that every 10 to 15 seconds, the hands are going like this. And there's no real pauses at any moment in the speech. It's Rachel Maddow's voice, perfect, but it's all AI. And it's spreading misinformation that the Prime Minister of Canada has announced that we're going to have a huge military force to defend the Arctic. This is a topic right now, but the information provided is completely fabricated.
Yeah.
But it's so convincing for somebody who doesn't know how AI works that this kind of misinformation can spread. And I saw the majority of the comments were people saying, "Yay, Canada, blah, blah, blah." And only about 1 in 20 would say, "Hey, folks, it's AI." So for the
Was
first
this
time, I
by
just thought,
who posted this? Was this like the
it's called
official?
this.
Huh?
No, 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 no. It's not official. It's nothing official. It's called Rachel's Briefs or Rachel Maddow's Briefs with
Oh, so
9
this is just
videos.
a fake, entirely fake
It's a fake
AI channel, deep
fake
fake of Rachel Maddow.
channel. It's a fake channel, deep fake. So,
Wow.
so here's the thing that people have to know is that you have a right to your own image. It's your legal property. This is my face. It's my property. I have a right to it. You can't steal it and put words that aren't mine in my
Hmm.
mouth.
Right.
Just because AI allows that to happen doesn't mean it's right. and
Correct.
and unless we decide as a society, and the Google administrators who own YouTube decide that AI of this nature is actually illegal, which they should do because it is illegal. I mean, Rachel Maddow should be able to sue whoever that is who's got that channel. That channel should be shut down. And
Right.
any channel that takes the voice and the image of somebody else and puts words in their mouth is an illegal act.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, we have to insist on that, because if we don't insist on that right now, we're hooped.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
similar things that come along, and that's why novels like 1984 and Fahrenheit 451 are so important, because
Yeah.
you can't let it go. You got to make sure it doesn't happen.
Yeah. And you know, I think now, as I read those quotes. I think I just want to talk, briefly about, the book as a whole. Um, and one of the most important things, and I'll read you guys the just the a little bit of the afterword, um, from Ray Bradbury himself, because I think it's very, very good here. Uh, I didn't know it, but I was literally writing a dime novel. In the spring of 1950, it cost me $9.80 in dimes to write and finish the first draft of The Fireman, which later became Fahrenheit 451. In all the years from 1941 to that time, I had done most of my typing in the family garages, either in Venice, California, where we lived because we were poor, not because it was the in place to be, or behind the tract house where my wife Marguerite and I raised our family. I was driven out of my garage by my loving children who insisted on coming around the rear window and singing and tapping on the panes. Father had to choose between finishing a story and playing with the girls. I chose to play, of course, which endangered the family income. An office had to be found. We couldn't afford one. Finally, I located just the place, a typing room in the basement of the library at the University of California, Los Angeles. There, in neat rows, were a score or of old Remington or Underwood typewriters, which rented out at a dime a half an hour. You thrust your dime in, and the clock ticked madly, and you typed wildly to finish before the half hour ran out. Thus, I was twice driven by the children to leave home and buy a typewriter timing device to be a maniac at the keys. Time was indeed money. I finished the first draft in roughly 9 days. At 25,000 words, it was half the novel it eventually would become. Between investing dimes and going insane when the typewriter jammed, for there went your precious time, and whipping pages in and out of the device, I wandered upstairs. There I strolled, lost in love, down the corridors and through the stacks, touching books, pulling volumes out, turning pages, thrusting volumes back, drowning in all of the good stuffs that are the essence of libraries. What a place, don't you agree, to write a novel such as about burning books in the future? So much for pasts about so much for pasts. What about Fahrenheit 451 in this day and age? Have I changed my mind about much that it said to me when I was a younger writer? Only if by change you mean has my love of libraries widened and deepened? To which the answer is a yes, that ricochets off the stacks and dusts talcum off the librarian's cheeks. Since writing this book, I have spun more stories, novels, essays, and poems about writers than any other writer in history that I can think of. I've written poems about Melville and Emily Dixon and Charles Dickens, Hawthorne, Poe, Edgar Rice, Burroughs, and along the way, I compared Jules Verne and his mad captain to Melville and his equally obsessed mariner. I have scribbled poems about librarians, taken night trains with my favorite authors across the continental wilderness, staying up all night, gabbling and drinking and chatting. I warned Melville in one poem to stay away from land. It was never his stuff, and turned Bernard Shaw into a robot so as to conveniently stow him aboard a rocket and wake him on the long journey to Alpha Centauri to hear his prefaces piped off his tongue and into my delighted ear. I have written a time machine story in which I hum back to the deathbeds of Wilde, Melville, and Poe to tell of my love and warm their bones in their last hours. But enough. As you can see, I am maddened when it comes to books, writers, and the great granary silos where their wits are stored. Recently, with the Studio Theater Playhouse in Los Angeles at hand, I called my characters from Fahrenheit 451 out of the shadows. What's new? I said to Montague, Clarice, Faber, Beatty, since last we met in 1953. I asked, they answered. They wrote new scenes, revealed odd parts of their as yet undiscovered souls and dreams. The result was a 2-act drama staged with good results and in the main, fine reviews. Beatty came farthest out of the wings in answer to my question. How did it start? Why did you make the decision to become a fire chief, a burner of books? Beatty's surprising answer came in a scene where he takes our hero, Guy Montague, to his home apartment. Entering, Montague is stunned to discover the thousands upon thousands of books lining the walls of the fire chief's hidden library.
Go.
Montague turns and cries to his superior, but you're the chief burner. You can't have books on your premises. To which the chief, with a dry, light smile, replies, it's not owning books that's a crime, Montague. It's reading them. Yes, that's right. I own books, but I don't read them. Montague, in shock, awaits Beatty's explanation. Don't you see the beauty, Montague? I never read them. Not one book, not one chapter, not one page, not one paragraph. I do play with ironies, don't I? To have thousands of books and never crack one. To turn your back on the lot and say no. It's like having a house full of beautiful women and smiling, not touching one. So you see, I'm not a criminal at all. If you ever catch me reading one, yes, then turn me in. But this place is as pure as a 12-year-old virgin girl's cream white summer night bedroom with the times. Okay, with the times. This is an older book. I would not consider that acceptable now. And why? Because I say so. I do not give them sustenance, no hope with hand or eye or tongue. They are no better than dust. Montague protests. I don't see how you can't be tempted, cries the fire chief. Oh, that was long ago. The apple is eaten and gone. The snake has returned to its tree. The garden has grown to weed and rust. Once Montague hesitates, then continues. Once you must have loved books very much. Touché, the fire chief responds. Below the belt, on the chin, through the heart, ripping the gut. Oh, look at me, Montague, the man who loved books. No, the boy who was wild for them, insane for them, who climbed the stacks like a chimpanzee gone mad for them. I ate them like salad. Books were my sandwich for lunch, my tiffin and dinner and midnight munch. I tore out the pages, ate them with salt, doused them with relish, gnawed on the bindings. turned the chapters with my tongue, books by the dozen, the score and the billion. I carried so many home, I was hunchback for years. Philosophy, art, history, politics, social science, the poem, the essay, the grandiose play, you name them, I ate them. And then the fire chief's voice fades. Montauk prompts, and then why life happened to me. The fire chief shuts his eyes to remember. Life, the usual, the same. The love wasn't quite right. The dream went sour. The sex that fell apart. The death that came swiftly to friends not deserving. The murder of someone or another. The insanity of someone close. The slow death of a mother. The abrupt suicide of a father. A stampede of elephants. An onslaught of disease. And nowhere the right book for the right time to stuff in the crumbling wall of the breaking dam to hold back the deluge. Give or take a metaphor, lose or find a simile, and by the far edge of 30 and the near rim of 31, I picked myself up, every bone broken, every centimeter of flesh abraded, bruised, and scarred. I looked in the mirror, found an old man lost behind the frightened face of a young man, saw a hatred there for everything and anything, you name it. I damn it, and opened the pages of my fine books and found what? What? Montauk guesses. The pages were empty. Bullseye, blank. Oh, the words were there, all right, but they ran over my eyes like hot oil, signifying nothing, offering no help, no solace, no peace, no harbor, no true love, no bed, no light. Montauk thinks back. 30 years ago, the final library burnings, on target, Beatty nods. And having no job and being a failed romantic or whatever in hell I put in the fireman first class, first up the steps, first into the library, first into the burning furnace heart of the ever-blazing countryman. Douse me with kerosene, hand me my torch. So it goes on a little bit more, but I think that is fantastic because we were talking about Beatty
Good work.
earlier.
Yeah.
And, it's almost as if it seems that in the mind of Bradbury that Beatty was created by his resentment of these books they made him feel worse about his life then they made him feel better, and he lashed out.
Right. And so, just for clarification, that passage you just read was part of the well, not screenplay, but it was part of the play that was
Yes,
created out of his book, because that passage does not appear in the book.
correct.
So it's important to understand that that was written so that the audience would really get it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And as I heard you read that, which is the first time I've heard it, a thought came to my mind, and that is that at the moment of his breakdown, he has read millions, maybe millions of books. He's just been only reading books. And
Mm-hmm.
then he looks in the mirror at the age of 31, and he sees an old man, and he opens the books, and now the books have nothing to offer him. So what that tells me is that he has actually failed to internalize the books, because the next stage after reading all of those books is to become a philosopher, to become someone who has internalized so many books that they can speak about those books, that the books are not no longer empty, but they are so well known that you can ascend and now perhaps become a great author yourself, as I think Ray Bradbury clearly became a great
Yes.
author. The passage you just read, if he had any hand in writing that passage, it sounds exactly like his writing. You know, he's able to summon up these images, these metaphorical clouds in his writing. They're just quite remarkable.
Yeah.
Um, some people criticize him for being uneven, which I guess in light of Orwell's book, which is a little more structured and hard hitting, could be a valid criticism. But his ability to summon up an image with these
Yes.
words, and the tumbling of words uh,
Mm-hmm.
is so great. It's really reminiscent of people who would take that kind of tumbling further. Um,
Absolutely.
you know,
Yeah. No, I mean, look, we talked a lot today about this book, but trust me when I say you need to go and read it. This is meant to make you want to go read Fahrenheit 451. Now more than ever is
yeah,
the time to pick up your copy of 1984 or go to the library that Beatty so treasured in his youth and get 1984, get get Fahrenheit 451 and open these books, because we're living in the time that they were warning us of. This is
Right.
this is the world they thought, this is what they thought the worst case scenario would be. And they really wanted to warn people about it. And
Right.
so we're living it. So the beauty of knowing and reading these things is it opens up this insightful avenue where you can suddenly see through the deception. If you read an equivalent of the deception in a fictional form, suddenly you see that same thing in your reality. The power of these books is it evokes that question within your mind. Well, this reminds me of this, and
Right.
suddenly it's impossible to unsee it. So that's why they want to ban books. That's why
Right.
they burned books, because
Right.
books have power. Um, beyond anything you can watch on a screen, there is something different about internalizing knowledge through the reading of words. I can't put my finger on it. I can't tell you explicitly why. I listen to things, I read things, but my preferred medium for my own entertainment when I'm reading, like listening to, because I listen to a lot of audiobooks before I bought the series of books that I'm reading now. Um, and I'd listen to a lot of these books on audio, and reading them with my own eyes and in my hand was profoundly more enjoyable.
Right.
So there is a power to books that is potent, and these novels are more important than ever.
So I'll just quickly interject with McLuhan's famous phrase that the medium is the message.
Mm,
And what you're talking about there is that when you listen to an audiobook, the interpretation of that book is being framed by the person reading it. When you
mhm.
read a book, you are through reading the words creating the imagery in your own mind, and it's you doing it. It's your experience coming to interacting with the novel you're reading, and you're creating the images in your own mind. And that pure act of being freed to create your own version of what you're reading,
Yeah.
is a very, very important thing. And when you go to a film, or when you watch anything that's already been interpreted for you, then you are less involved in it. So even when you go see a film version of it, of a novel, that's all very well, and you may remember some of those actors and so on and so forth. But if you read the book first and then watch the film, then you come to that film with a different view of that film. The film is no longer the authority, but the book is the authority. And I
Right.
think that's a really important thing to say. The other thing I would say is this: don't do Cole's notes. Don't think you're in a class and that you have to learn what this book means by reading commentary about what this book is about. Read the book from beginning to end. Okay? For me, reading a novel is like listening to a symphony from beginning to end. You
Yes.
don't go drop the music into the middle of the music and try to figure it out, because it's not structured that way. Novels are structured from beginning to end, and that creates a whole experience when you read from the beginning to the end without popping in and popping out and going back and forth. You can do that a little bit to maybe understand a passage or whatever, but try to read the whole thing. Don't go for Cole's notes or anything like that.
Yeah, I think that's great. And as we come to an end of this show today, guys, thank you all for joining us for this particular dialogue today. It's one I've been looking forward to. I know John's been looking forward to it. So
Yeah.
it was a great way to kind of come back in the new year. In my case, if you want to see more of the dialogue, and if you want to get a better understanding of the world we're living in, make sure that you subscribe to both of us. I do a daily show called the Firebrand Report, where it's a newsletter and a stream just like this one, where you can come and for an hour, I kind of give you a nice mix between real-time reporting and analysis, because it's about building a picture. So if you guys haven't come to the Firebrand Report, it'll be going on in just a couple hours here. So I encourage you to come join that. I encourage you to subscribe to both of us so you get alerted when the next dialogue is scheduled. And the dialogue must continue. So
Yes.
we will continue the dialogue, and I really hope that you all choose to join us again in the future. And with that said, free, paid subscriptions, both very important to help us continue to do what we're doing. So consider, if you're in a position to be a paid subscriber, that's awesome. It's really helpful to us. But being a free subscriber is free. It's just that, and you get to join this community. So, John, thank you so much. Any closing words for this dialogue today?
No, you summed it up very, very nicely. It was great to have a chat today about a book that I should have read a long time ago, and I read it for the first time just a few months ago. Thank you for alerting me to Fahrenheit.
Absolutely. That's what we do here. So everyone, thank you so much. We will see you in a week, 2 weeks. And until then, make sure you burn bright. Make sure you resist this coming of the darkness. And while it's a pleasure to burn, make sure we're burning ignorance, not books. Take
Right
care.
on. Good ending, man.